Good evening and welcome to another Comics Week in Review for February 8th, 2015, if I can read a calendar. I'm Steve McGauley, editor-in-chief of TMStash.com. With me, as always, the crew of TMStash.com, Nick Duran, Joseph Gagel, and Ed Garrett. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
Oh, so much fun, so many things. Star Wars is still awesome. And some amazing news out of both DC and Marvel camps this week. And we will get to touch base on all of that. And, of course, as soon as we start something, somebody falls off the call in typical fashion. But without further ado, let's get to the big DC news this week, as DC is going to shake up the New 52. And Ed, I will just let you take this. I know you covered it in the DC Corner, so if you want some in-depth chatter about that, check out Ed's DC Corner he did earlier this afternoon. But Ed, what's going on?
Well, what they're going to be doing, of course, with Convergence, they're bringing everything together. There will be a free comic book day book called Divergence, which will split this back into a multiverse. And then they've announced a lineup, which is really interesting. No longer will there be 52 comics. They're going to be down to 49 comics with 24 brand new titles, along with 25 continuing series. Individual comics are pretty interesting. There's persons of color that are leading the one openly gay character that's leading a comic. There's a variety of art styles and storytelling styles. This is actually pretty cool. Let me give you some of the things here. Batman Beyond fans will be happy because he's going to take the lead with Dan Jurgens writing. A character I love from the Silver Age will have a mini-series, Bat-Mite, who is a little magical character that has all the powers of Mxyzptlk, but has a hero worship of Batman, and he keeps screwing up. Bizarro even gets a 6-issue series. But Black Canary will get her own series, which is way past time. Cyborg has been promised a new series since the New 52. He will get one. Earth 2 Justice Society will go on, so those characters will not be completely gone after Convergence, and I'm glad to see that. Martian Manhunter gets his own book. Midnighter from Stormwatch gets a book. There will be a couple of Robin books, Robin, Son of Batman, and We Are Robin, which looks to be more of a group thing. And Starfire from the Teen Titans will get her own book, and a redesigned costume that looks a lot more like what you've seen of her in the cartoons. And that's just part of it. I mean, there's also some other books. There will be Brian Hitch coming back to DC to do Justice League of America, which means there will be a bunch of Justice League books. You'll have Dark Universe, which replaces J.L. Dark. You've got Justice League of America, Justice League 3001, and then also Justice League and Justice League United. So they're going all in on the Justice League. And then continuing with some of the books that you're familiar with, including Gotham Academy and Gotham by Midnight. Opinion codes are continuing with Grayson, but we'll see what happens there. But the intent here is to have a little something for everyone and to have not that house style of storytelling where everything's grim dark, not that house style of art where everything looks the same. So I'm pretty excited with this. We'll go into more depth on it on the DC Corner. You can go back and check there, but man, this looks really good.
Ed, is this a reboot?
No, actually the 25 remaining series will continue. There may be some minor changes, but they'll basically continue the continuity. But I think what will happen is some of these newer books may have their own continuity. It's what I'm sort of gathering, but not totally. Because if you're going to have a Bat-Mite book, it really can't fully exist in the same universe as the main DC universe. So you'll probably see some of these books in, alternate worlds within the multiverse is how they'll probably explain it. But the main 25 books will continue the continuity, probably with a few impacts from Convergence itself.
I think as a giant DC fan, what I would like to see is a reboot only as far as Grayson. We need to bring Nightwing back. And this is their chance.
I would really hope sooner that over Grayson really, really badly. By the way, there will be 2 Harley Quinn books. Her main title and a Harley Quinn Power Girl team-up with Palmiotti and Connor writing that book. That will just be completely awesome.
So, do you think that, and here's what I'm getting from this, but you're much wiser than I. Now,
Well, they're the setup.
so Starfire, Black Canary, more Harley Quinn. Starfire, they're desexifying her outfit, it sounds like, a little bit.
Yes, very much so.
Is DC finally opening their eyes and deciding reimaging Batgirl is not the way to bring in more female readers? Do you think that's why they're doing this?
Now, Batgirl will continue with the same team, so I don't think that's it, but I do think they're listening to fans in terms of saying we need greater diversity in our leads, because you've got an African-American league in Cyborg, you've got an openly gay character in Midnighter, you've got a Middle Eastern character in Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate will have his own book. So they're really going for greater diversity in their lead characters, and I do think they're listening to the fans in that regard, and I think they're also listening to the fans when it comes to art styles and types of storytelling. So, we'll see. We'll see. The books, have great promise. We'll see how they actually pan out this summer, but for all the griping I've been doing about DC coasting leading it to Convergence, and I still will gripe on that, I have great expectations for this summer.
That's good. I agree with you. I've been moving more towards Marvel lately. I've been cutting out issues of DC, stopped reading them because they're not trying. So let's hope for awesomeness. Why are you?
That's what we're hoping.
I'm looking forward to it. I like fresh starts, so I can jump in somewhere.
You'll have plenty of chances. You will have 24 chances to jump in on new books, which is not bad.
So, and it's going to be it's interesting that this summer both DC and Marvel will kind of be refreshed all at the same time. It sounds like they're all going to fall right into the same time frame. So, it's an interesting time for comic book readers, and I think the main goal here is to bring more folks like myself in that didn't grow up necessarily reading comic books that are now interested in reading comic books. So hopefully it draws in a new audience. So much more to look forward to with that, and we will keep you up to date on all the news that comes out of that. But without further ado, we must get to what's happening in the Marvel universe, as just a few days ago we had the female Avengers team with the A-Force coming out. And I think, Nick, you did an awesome write-up on that? Or Joe?
That was Joe.
That was me. Yeah, and it kind of makes sense because they've kind of said going into this huge event of Secret Wars, the Earth is going to be destroyed, and the multiverses that are left are going to be formed into this new world, this new battle world, and I can only assume that that's going to take part in the forming of this female group of Avengers. Chances are they're all going to be found within the same, I guess, country, if you will. I mean, that's not a real accurate term, I guess, but they're going to be, the world's going to be comprised of countries or territories that's going to have a mixture of characters, and it looks like in this one we're going to have female characters from different eras. It looks like a 90s Rogue, an old Phoenix Jean Grey, the She-Hulk from the Fantastic Four, eras, plus some of the current, incantations of characters like Captain Marvel and the Black Widow. So, and it ought to be a really good title, because I currently read the X-Men, which is their female team-up book, and it's standing pretty good on its own, and it brings all these different types of characters with different points of view into it, and I expect no less from this title, especially with the event that's surrounding it. And they've already said that this big event is going to be a platform for them to bring new characters on and take new ones off, so I'm willing to bet that the group we see come into this may not be the same group that comes out of it as they try to reform this new world. So, and of course, we all know from last year that Marvel is no stranger to female-led titles. They had a good 10 or so going on right now, at least, with 2 or 3 more to come. So,
yeah, I think I think this is interesting. Are we going to see Wolverine with this new event, you think?
I hope not, but it wouldn't surprise me if
Look who's back.
yeah, if whether it's the Wolverine from the '90s era, or just kind of they're like, hey, what's up, bub? So.
Yes, I would love that.
But I almost hope not, because I think they're building a lot of headway with this new reformed Sabretooth that they're trying to build some momentum on. So that kind of makes me think that we won't see it, and that's something that I think a lot of people are expecting. So they might not do that either. It's like, oh, who they going to bring back? So.
Just as long as they bring Deadpool back right when they kill him, I'm happy.
Right? It'd be cool to. I want this Deadpool part to be over, but I'm ready for the new Deadpool. I'm sick of the tame Deadpool.
Well, in this week's Return of the Living Deadpool, it was actually really good. There's actually a moment where he was surrounded by a bunch of zombies, and he said, "You know what? I just remembered. I'm not a pacifist anymore," and he just starts killing a bunch of zombies. So it was pretty neat.
Do you have to read Living Deadpool 1 to read The Return of the Deadpool?
I would recommend it, but actually this first one kind of gives you a little brief summarization within the story, so I would say not necessarily, but I think you should a little bit.
Cool.
All right. So that wraps up the big DC and Marvel news of the week. Ed, what else do we have going on in DC?
In DC, we had the conclusion of the first arc with Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. and Superman, where Superman gains a new power and a new uniform. His new power, for those of you who watch Dragon Ball Z, I think Will described it best as a Super Saiyan thing. He goes solar flare, super flare. And it turns out that he sort of expends every ounce of solar energy in every cell in his body, sort of like his heat vision gone into overdrive. But it's left him depowered, so he's basically human for the next 24 hours while he recharges his solar cells, and that's where we'll go in the next issue. But he will be with a new costume. It's been redesigned a little bit. It's not as armory as it was. The boots have been redone just so that look like the way they did prior to the New 52. There's still no red underwear, but it does look good. I will tell you, I'm not as impressed with this pairing, though, of Johns and Romita as I expected to be. You're putting two superstars together of creators, and you expect it's going to be the most wonderful story in the world. It was so-so. It is okay, but it was still a good deal to see. Detective continues the Anarchy storyline with Buccellato and Manapul going with that one. That was pretty good. Brings the Blood Moon in. And we finally got Brainiac sort of making his Metropolis, and it looks like he's trying to grab it to take up into wherever he's taking all the different places on the Blood Moon. And then with Batman Eternal, we're still going through layers of who might be behind everything, and we've got something sort of spooky at the end of it. But that was the main DC ones I was catching for this week. Nick, did you catch any other DC?
Well, I wanted to say, because you flew through Detective Comic, I want to say, as I watched that, the artist is what, Manapul, right?
Right. So Manapul, and then Buccellato does the colors, and then they both work together on the script.
So I'm starting to feel that right now, if we read Batman, you have two amazing Batman artists right now, because I think Manapul, I was watching that, him and Capullo both do amazing Batman, but in their own way. They're so different, and I think we're lucky to see some truly fantastic Batmans, but I imagine they only pick the best of the best to draw for their Batman characters.
Oh yeah, and I like Manapul's approach to storytelling with his artwork, and I call his Batman 5 o'clock shadow Batman because he tends to draw him with stubble, but it works. It works.
I like that Harvey Bullock's taking a lead role in this Detective Comics, And that's awesome because right now I think Harvey Bullock's one of the best parts of the TV show. So people who might just want to jump into some
I agree.
Batman because they're watching it on TV, well, this is the one for them.
I like with Harvey in Detective, he's not right 100% of the time, but he certainly is nowhere near incompetent. He's a competent detective on his own. He may hate Batman, but he really does care about his job, and he's doing a pretty good job. It's just fun to see the two interplaying on this script, because there's times they're having to grudgingly work together, even though neither one of them really wants to work with the other.
And it's great because he has faults and he's aware of those faults. And my favorite line was, "I'm only dirty enough to get the job done."
Yes, that was great.
Nice.
And that's him. And I also must say, Future's End, I really enjoyed it, especially at the end.
Yeah.
This is a great week of Future's End.
It really ramped things up this week. This was a good one to see.
It's going down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're getting ready for the big deal now. And that's the thing, is we're going to start wrapping up here through the end of February and then through March. We'll finally start speeding toward convergence, and hopefully the pace will pick up in all the books.
Mm-hmm. There was a big, I'm going to try not to spoil this, there was a big Future's End, and this issue we got to see someone come back into action who's slowly been ramping into it, but he's been missing from this storyline, and it was his entrance. This is going to sound real nerdy, but his entrance at the very end, the last page, gave me goosebumps.
Oh, it was
really
great.
did.
It was great.
Anything else from DC?
That's the big stuff from DC this past week. It was a good week for DC.
It was really small though.
Yeah, it was.
Action! The weird storyline in Action Comics is finally done.
I'm glad the weird action storyline. The only thing is that I'm still bothered by Smallville being a hive mind.
I agree.
That's just like, please, leave them alone. They're supposed to be that quiet. Everybody still, goes down to the general store, and no, they're a hive mind.
Mm-hmm. You can't have any dirty secrets in that town, can you?
No, not at all.
No.
All right. Well, what do we have going on in the Marvel world this week? I know a lot. So.
Well, first and foremost, it was Star Wars #2, which was an outstanding issue. We get to see.
It was. I just finished reading it.
We we get to see Luke and Vader kind of face off in a pretty neat duel that even sees him recognize his former lightsaber momentarily, which was a cool little panel before Han nearly blows him away with an AT-AT blaster, which that was a whole cool element in and of its own.
He doesn't blast him; he's like stomps through the facility. Because he didn't have blasters until.
Well, yeah, but
you just got served.
No. He blasted Vader at the end.
Yeah, he did. He did blast him at the end.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
The thing I like here, though, is, and I read it too. It really picks up to show an inexperienced Luke Skywalker, though. He's certainly not ready for even Empire Strikes Back. He's still so new to the Force, he can't handle it really well. And you see what happens when someone who's not really well trained in the Force goes up against Darth Vader.
And even
it was a really good battle.
And I really even liked the bantering between Han and Leia. That you get the feel that just little things like that to me, tells you that the team behind this, they know their Star Wars. They know what they're doing. They know how to make these characters seem so familiar in their dialogue and in their actions. Even
and C-3PO was wonderful in this.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, I don't.
So, I had lunch with a friend today, and we were discussing Star Wars, and it really came down to the fact that if you think of all the books, everyone loves all the movies, everyone loves the first one, everyone loves the second one. That's usually everyone's favorite. Jedi, you get mixed reviews, and then everything else is gone. Well, Empire is the only one that Lucas didn't write or direct, right?
Correct.
He had nothing involved in it, and that was the best one. And these comic books have been phenomenal. So the fans, I think, can do the kids who grew up, people who grew up watching Star Wars and loving Star Wars, I think are now capable of doing a better job than George Lucas. Sorry, George, but Jason Aaron proves it.
Yeah, and I totally agree because this has been I can't wait till Darth Vader #1. We talked about how Princess Leia looks, man, and I'll probably get the first issue, but if they keep doing this current series the way it is, I won't stop getting it.
So props to George for creating the whole world. It was his idea.
Oh yeah.
But there's millions of people out there who would want to take a stab at it, and a million minds is better than just one. So I'm really excited for all these, everything moving forward. Star Wars, anything.
Yeah.
I'll give George a lot of credit. It's just he not only created Star Wars and that thing, but he created Industrial Light and Magic, which really moved movie making up several generations in a very short period of time.
And he still owns Industrial Light and Magic, for the record.
Yeah.
Because that's where his bread and butter is. That's where he's still raking in dough, and that's where 90% of Hollywood goes if they need to do some sort of special effects sequence, because no one really does it better than Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, just look at special effects before Star Wars and what's happened in the years since. It's big.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I really like there at the end after we see Vader get up without his helmet on, and the Stormtrooper's reaction is, "Good God," or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then Vader just kills him. He's like, "It's okay," and he just kills him, like, because he's mad now.
It was another really good book, and just to kind of jump ahead, next week is Darth Vader, right?
Yes, Darth Vader #1 next week.
When does and then there's a Leia book, right? But when's that come out?
And I'm not sure the exact date, but it's in March.
Oh, don't pretend you don't know. You guys are both looking forward to Leia.
That one looked awful.
Horrible.
In the preview.
But it's because I don't think they gave us a lot.
I hope that they were just rough sketches and they hadn't finalized the product and they just said, "We need a preview. Give us what you got." And they just threw some...
they drew a scene that was already in the first movie.
Yeah, they half-assed drew a scene and half-assed colored something we'd already seen before.
But I'm sure it'll be a decent addition to their female, lineup, kind of like we were talking about earlier,
And I'm not saying I'm not going to buy it. I'm just saying I'm going to buy the first one and then give you my thoughts and then decide if I'm going to buy it, keep going.
But outside of Star Wars, the Black Vortex started this week, which is a big X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy crossover. And it was a pretty good issue. We had pretty much everything kind of been building up from mostly Legendary Star-Lord, but his father, who's under the name Mr. Knife now, kind of has his renegade Guardians of the Galaxy, if you will, called the Slaughter Squad. And he's recently recruited Thane, which is the son of Thanos, who has the power to give life in one hand and take it in the other hand. And he's basically been running around the galaxy as like a savior for lost souls, but Mr. Knife is kind of, wined and dined him into joining him in his cause so that he can be a better savior for people in the galaxy. And he's got this mirror that's the Black Vortex, and we're pretty much shown through past events when it was created that if you look into this mirror, it'll turn you into the most ideal version of yourself, but you have to be really careful because if you're a very bad person, it'll turn you into a worse version of that. So it's a very one of those kind of use wisely kind of things. Maybe not even use it at all. So we get a lot of that, and of course the X-Men are drug into it because with Mr. Knife and all of his guys, and a lot of them have already looked into the mirror and have become super-powered versions of themselves. The Legendary Star-Lord has recently hooked up with Kitty Pryde, member of the X-Men, so they're able to kind of use that to gain a little bit more of an advantage on the battle as far as evening up the odds. But we just got into it, and it was a really good issue. Nick, did you get a chance to look at it any?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think I really like the X-Men Guardian whole team-ups that they've kind of done here and there for the last year and a half. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be gigantic because there just seems like it's one of those story arcs that's going to make Steven roll his eyes because you have to buy 30 different titles. But
Yep.
I think it's going to be some good stuff. I like watching. There was a moment where things were about to get real, and Storm turned to Carol Danvers. It was like, "Well, we need you. You ready?" And she's like, "I got this," and went into beast mode.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anytime you throw the X-Men in space, the possibilities are endless.
And did you get a chance to check out Avengers this week, Nick?
I'm reading it right
Thank you.
now. Like
Which
literally right
Avengers?
this
What
second.
happened?
Avengers: Age of Ultron Prelude.
I have not. I didn't even know that was. Yeah, no. So is that for the movie?
Yeah. I mean, probably. I mean, that's Joe. You could probably elaborate on it more than I can. That's how I'm reading it. It's pretty well done.
I think we lost Joe.
Aw,
Guys are
yeah.
frozen.
He's frozen.
It's
Yeah. And
I
no, and read it. It is pretty much a prelude. It's kind of picking up where the movies are left off. So I'm not having too much trouble following it, and I don't typically read the Avengers, but
I don't usually jump into books that are movie. I don't like to mix and match unless it's Green Arrow, and then they do everything they can to make the damn storyline just like the TV show.
Well, that's sort of
Right.
like there's Flash Season 0, which is all digital. It sort of tries to follow along with the same reality as the TV show, too.
And so in
Joe, you're
Marvel,
back.
Yeah. Sorry, I fell out there for a second.
It's
So-
okay. I was elaborating on the Avengers: Age of Ultron Prelude, which I am halfway through right now.
I don't think I'm gonna pick that up, Joe.
What do you mean?
You said have I read the Avengers, and isn't that the Avengers?
Yeah, I don't think it's Age of Ultron, is it?
That's what the title says for me when I downloaded it from Marvel.
Issue number 41, Secret Wars?
Nope. I'm reading the Avengers: Age of Ultron Prelude, the Sceptered Isle Infinite.
Oh, that's not what I was talking about.
Oh,
This
that
looks-
one.
This is literally a movie prelude. This is a new series, #1, that's leading up to the movies.
I don't know if I downloaded that one, Joe. I bought it, but I
No,
didn't read it.
it was
Quick answer. I didn't read it.
It was pretty good. We find out the actual fate of the Cabal.
Oh,
You want me to? Yeah, I won't spoil it for you, Nick.
you can go ahead. I'll take my headphones out.
All right. Well, the Cabal. Well, we get a story from another universe that's getting ready to have an inversion, or not an inversion, what are they called? An incursion where the universes collide, and just before the world that the Cabal was left on explodes, they find out about that incursion and they slip out into another universe, and they kind of barely slip out, and they survive it. So now they're kind of out there in the multiverse, and all the Avengers who killed them thought that they're all dead. Black Panther thinks Namor's dead, but now they're not. So that was really neat. Nick, you can come back. You can come back now.
There we go.
I don't know. I didn't read Star Wars either, so I don't know. I even bother. But
Star Wars is really good, though. And they are handling it well. The artwork on Star Wars, too, is just so amazing. I'm impressed all the way around with it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And of course, I mentioned earlier, Return of the Living Deadpool started, and that was a much funnier start to this little series, as we find out that at the end of the last, Deadpool ingested a serum that was going to stop all these zombies, and that he let them eat them. But what he didn't realize is that when he ate them, they all became Deadpools. So now there's a bunch of Deadpools running around that he has to take care of. So.
Did you read Ant-Man?
No, I did not. How was that?
It's definitely going to be a comedy. It is funny. It starts with Ant-Man fighting a guy in a grizzly bear exosuit, and then it involves him trying to get a loan for his own company, and he ends up having to fight a Nazi gold-creating robot that was in the bank. I feel like it's Deadpool, Ant-Man, Deadpool style. It is. I'm gonna give it one more, and if it's still making me laugh, then I'll give it one more. But the second I'm not laughing my ass off, I'm putting it down because Ant-Man's not that interesting to me, personally.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Did you read Hawkeye?
No, but I know you're a big fan of Hawkeye.
It was epic. I think we have one more episode, and then it is done.
Yeah,
they're gonna
reboot it with all new Hawkeye in, I think, March.
But I don't know if you can. Hawkeye is one of those characters, like, you can't really sell it unless Matt Fraction is writing it crazy good, like he is, and his amazing art. It was a sad ending, and it was pretty epic. It was their last. Clint and his brother and all the tenants they kind of had like their last stand, like kind of like the Alamo at their apartment building, and all the bros in the track suits were coming for them, and their job was to hold them off. And it is going to be a heated final issue.
Is he still deaf?
He's still deaf, and his brother's in a wheelchair. Like, they have not been doing well in this fight. So this fight has been taxing, to say the least, on them. It begins with Jessica. Jessica Drew's there, and then she disappears. Really could have used her to stick around, but.
Oh, she's getting a new costume redesign in an issue or two. After Spider-Verse is over, she's getting a new costume.
Is that an Italian artist doing it?
Maybe.
Oh, is the last issue of Spider-Verse coming out this week? Or the last chapter?
Yeah. The last chapter will be out this week.
It's gone down.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, when we went to the comic book store today, I told my friend, as soon as it gets collected, he needs to buy it. It might be my favorite arc of the year, of the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Did anybody get the action figure variant of this week's Star Wars? I just came across it, and I didn't see it this week because my comic book store is going out of business and not ordering anything. But it's Han, and it's really, really badass.
They've been killing it.
And I want it, and I have to buy it on eBay now.
I still
probably
can't
get
find...
a better deal on eBay. Well, maybe.
No.
No.
On Midtown Comics, it was $3.39, and it's like between $11 and $15 on eBay right now.
On eBay, they're trying to sell Batman #1 for $90. Give me a frickin' break. Batman New 52 one.
But
the guy at the comic book store says he sells it. He won't sell it for more than $50.
Well, Stephen, what you just told me sounds like a pretty reasonable deal for a variant, considering everything I've come across. $7 to $15 isn't that bad, I don't think.
All right. While we're on the topic of variants, for next week, with the new Darth Vader, which one do you? There's like 50,000 variants, especially if you're at Midtown Comics, where they get their own like 5 special variant covers, ranging from anywhere between $200 down to they have one that's a $212 variant.
Wow. That better come with some extra perks.
Yeah.
I hope your children are in bed.
Yeah, really. Good Lord.
So I don't know. I think it depends on what you want. I don't know if will these be worth money in the future. I don't know. Like as I look at these
I'm gonna
Batmans
say
trying to buy, I don't know. I dug through a bunch of comic books today, like JSAs that were Alex Ross art, and these are going for like $3. Like everything in the '90s is
I'm willing to
basically
bet
sticker price.
some of these new Star Wars runs are gonna be worth something down the road. But you're right. A lot of times, a lot of books, even variants, aren't really worth what you pay for them sometimes.
I have a Scotty Young one coming, I think.
And what you'll find a lot of times is there's an immediate crazy market for it, then the price will drop significantly, then it'll finally crawl back up after a few years. But I can't imagine paying the crazy money right now.
That's why I'm
Right.
not jumping. That's why I'm not jumping on to the Batman yet. I'm waiting. I'll
Yeah.
go down once the demand goes down.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend $200 on a comic book right now. Not by any stretch
no
of the
way.
imagination.
Not unless.
I may spend $15 to get a variant of a number one. You know.
Yeah, that's usually my limits when I shop variants. Unless it's really awesome, then I'll go to like 20 sometimes if it's a really good looking cover.
Yeah, the only time I spent 25 was for my my Death of Wolverine, which I have framed right here.
Yeah, and that's a good looking cover too.
And I only bought it because it just looked really awesome, and I didn't care the price because I don't even normally buy Wolverine, but I mean the cover was just so awesome, I had to buy it.
That's how I am. I buy for cover, but I don't know.
Otherwise, buying digitally is just 10 times easier.
It's 10 times easier. I think the most I ever spent for a comic was today on the Dark Knight Returns, and that was worth it.
All right. Well, while we're kind of on the topic of what's coming out next week.
Wait.
Or
Stop you?
Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
We had a lot of great indies this week.
Oh, yeah.
Now
We had a
entering the
ton.
danger room.
I think I'm even looking at my website here. So Saga came out. Saga is always awesome. I really enjoyed Saga. The thing that kills me on Saga, do any of you read Saga?
I pick it up here and there.
It's narrated by the main character's daughter from the future, so she's like telling the story, and things will be going on, and you're like, oh, but how's he gonna get out of this? And then he'll go, well, this is before my mom and dad decided to split up. So she spoils it, and that was an old spoiler, but she dropped 2 spoils on you. She's like, while they're doing this, they eventually succeed, but it takes a while. So the thing that kills you is the way they write it. They're spoiling stuff. So you're thinking one thing, and then they're like, "No, you're an idiot. This is what actually is going to happen." So I love that. Cal's killing it. I think it's the one superhero indie that I really like. It's how a noir should be. The creative team's doing a great job there. Alex Siegel and Kyle Higgins. And the art's by Rod Reese. That guy's amazing. And then 2 other favorites, Witches and The Woods, both came out this week, and they're both freaky.
Witches is crazy.
Damn, I forgot to read Witches.
I caught up with that over yesterday and today, and that is a crazy book, man.
What'd you think of the ending?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, what?
So, and I'm going to have to quote myself here. I think that Scott Snyder writes everything with a serious case of the heebie-jeebies. Like, he freaks me out, man.
Oh, yeah. And if you're going to talk indies, Lady Killer from Dark Horse is just amazing. It's like Mad Men meets Dexter. You got a serial killer who looks like the perfect housewife. And it's being done exceptionally well. It's one of the. It's funny. The book reminds me of a lot of Image books, but Dark Horse is publishing it, and it is just amazing. My favorite, and Red Sonja Vulture Circle this past week, which is really good. Sheltered I didn't want to like Sheltered when it first came out because it's a book where you've got these prepper survivalists, and the kids decide they're going to kill all their parents and take the place over. And so the premise was really horrible. But the more the story has gone on, the better it's gotten. It's issue 14, and the whole thing is falling apart. The FBI are raiding the compound. It's amazing. And then Valiant started Imperium, where Toyo Harada really turns loose. And he's pretty rough when he does. It's a good thing over at Valiant. So there was a lot of good indies this past week.
Yeah, if you want to pick something new up, though, I read a few. I read a bunch of number ones. I would say my favorite number one by Boom was Cluster. It was about a kind of a spoiled little, obviously a socialite's child, a politician's child, does something to end up in getting a life sentence, and you can serve your country on another planet and to fight off invading hordes so we can populate this planet for 15 years versus a life sentence. And she took it, and it looks like it's going to be a fun sci-fi kind of space war book, but it's going to have to do as well as it did in issue 1 for the next so many issues if it wants to compete, because there are so many space wars going on right now, books about space war. And Nameless was a book by a superstar group. It was from Image, and it was by Grant Morrison and art by Chris Berman, and both of these guys are just phenomenal. Book confused the crap out of me, I'm not going to lie. I still don't know what's going on. I was entertained, but I don't think I'm supposed to know what's going on for a few issues.
All right. Now do you want to go to next week?
Go for it.
All right. DC Secret 6 number 2 from Gail Simone comes out. I cannot wait. We'll also have Batman Eternal, Futures End, World's End, Green Lantern Corps, Justice League United, which continues the Infinitus saga that puts the Legion of Superheroes in, and World's Finest, which is a Superman-Batman story from Earth 2 that sort of predates the Earth 2 series, back because Superman and Batman were killed in the first issue of Earth 2. So it's sort of a prequel story there. Dark Horse has Conan Red Sonja number 2. Now this is Jim Zub and Gail Simone together. Just an amazing thing to put the two iconic characters together. Dark Horse and Dynamite are teaming together to publish it. It's coming up under the Dark Horse image. It's both companies together. And then Fred Van Lente's Resurrectionists number 4 is really cool. This is one that's a heist that's been in the making for thousands of years. Every time these people are resurrected to the new life, they go out and try to do the same heist that they've been trying to do since ancient Egypt. Image has a new series, Empty, number 1. They also have Ghosted, number 17. I really like Ghosted. Satellite Sam by Matt Fraction hits issue number 11. And then you got Walking Dead and Witchblade coming out. Valiant has the debut of a series called Divinity. Now this one's set, you've got a Cold War-era Soviet astronaut who goes off into space and returns to present day, completely changed with godlike powers. It's a very different kind of series even for Valiant. And then Raya issue number 7 has an interesting little twist in it if you've been reading that. And that book has some of the most amazing artwork I've seen in comics. Titan has Doctor Who, the 11th Doctor. Boom has Deep State, Hexed, and Wild's End coming out. Dynamite has Magnus, the Robot Fighter, number 11. And they're continuing the steampunk group of series called Legendary. There was a series they had that was just called Legendary with D-E-R-R-Y. And it was steampunk versions of all the Dynamite characters. And now they're sort of splitting them out and having individual series. It's Legendary Red Sonja, number 1. And then Action Lab has a couple books I'm really thrilled with. Princeless, y'all know I've been a big fan of Princeless for a long time. It's a great all-ages book. If you want to introduce a kid to comics and have a book their parents would be glad to have them read and the kids would still really enjoy, and probably the parents would too, that's Princeless. It starts out with a young princess who's trapped in the tower and gets tired of waiting for her prince to come, decides to save herself, and then saves a bunch of other princesses, and now it's Princeless, the Pirate Princess, number 1, where she meets a a very different kind of princess who also does not need saving. Then you've got M Theory #4. It's the last issue of this particular arc, and as you know, M Theory was the first indie comic that I reviewed, so I've got a soft spot in my heart for these guys. It's a very bizarre and fun book to read, and that sort of catches up with some of the big books that are coming out this week from DC and from the indies.
All right, so what's coming out with Marvel outside of... We know we have Darth Vader and Alex Ross's $250 variant cover. That's 15% off and only $212 from Midtown Comics.
Well, there you go.
Did he sign it?
I have no idea. You don't
He
even get the cover art. It just says he has one that's 63. There's an Alex Ross for $64, regular price $75, and an Alex Ross $212, normal $200.
Either that's signed or you're one of 5 people that get that variant.
Yeah.
Signed in his own blood. But Darth Vader #1. It's the top of my list. Thanos versus Hulk #3. Guardians 3000 #5. Thor continues with issue #5. That's been a solid series. Wolverines #6. Cyclops #10. Nightcrawler #11. All New Ghost Rider 11, Captain Marvel #12, the last chapter of Spider-Verse, and Amazing Spider-Man #14, fist bump right there. X-Force 15, Guardians of the Galaxy #24 for the Black Vortex Part 2, X-Men 24, and All New X-Men 36, which should end their Ultimate crossover.
Did you mention, I'm sorry, I apologize if I missed this, Harley Quinn?
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that one.
It's a holiday special. Her holiday specials have been
Oh,
awesome.
that will be great. I got to get that.
It was it #2?
It's Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
Oh.
special.
Well,
And
I may
you know
actually
it's
have to
gonna
get
be
that
good.
one too. Because
Yeah.
I
the
hope
other
I'm
one was
looking
good.
at this next week, not this week.
No, because this week is Valentine's Day, so that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
That's where
Hopefully-
Palmiotti and Connor have been just outstanding on Harley Quinn.
I was going to say, hopefully, that version of her will survive Convergence.
They're staying.
I'm
Ed said they're staying on. They
are.
Amazing.
And it does come out this week.
And whoever drags themselves to see me in Chicago in April, we will do our damnedest to get an interview with them, right? Because they're both going to
absolutely.
be there.
Yeah. I actually met Amanda Connor once about a year or
She's
so
so
ago.
nice.
I was not able to get the interview. We weren't able to work the schedule out, but I've got several signed things from her that were very cool. She's
an amazing person. She won't
Yes,
let you
she
leave.
is.
She'll talk your ear off. If you're not talking, she'll do it. She does. Now, I don't want to offend any of our listeners, but she does do Little Ponies. She does do My Little Ponies, so there were some interesting guys in line with me. But besides that,
The Brony Nation.
she's proud of Brony Nation.
Oh yeah.
She liked the guy in front of me more than she liked me, I think.
It's okay, Nick.
But I had my Princess Rainbow costume on.
Speaking of which, our old buddy Jeremy Whitley, who's doing Princeless, has been doing some My Little Pony books lately. He's definitely getting more exposure in the comics world doing all the ages books, but he's been doing several of the My Little Pony Friends Forever, and even My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, a couple of those books.
So when I was in Chicago Comics today, and that's like the biggest comic store in Chicago, so it's a pretty good one. And there was a mom and her daughter in there, and the mom obviously reads comics too because she was flipping through looking for variants, and the daughter had a stack of My Little Ponies. And so people love My Little Ponies.
Oh yeah.
It's got a reader, guys and kids.
Now,
She
I will tell you.
also bought Saga, and the guy behind the counter quickly told her, "You're reading this and not your daughter, right?"
Smart move. I will tell you though, when it comes to little kids, I still recommend Princess for any little kid starting out. That's amazing. By the way, we also did an interview. I don't know if you can see the Nutmeg poster in the background. Whitley, who does Printless, was recommending Nutmeg to us, and that's another good sort of a tween book. But we've got an interview up with the creators of that. That comes out in March. And it's they advertise it as sort of Betty and Veronica meet Breaking Bad. And that description sort of fits. So that'll come out in March, but if you want to catch the interview, that's up on the site right now.
Baking Bad.
Baking Bad.
Oh, I like that. There you go. Baking Bad would work.
Awesome. Oh yeah, and to add to what's coming out next week, because I just came across this myself, Star Wars Volume 4, Number 1. So last month's Star Wars, the Ken Haser hand-drawn sketched editions are coming out. There's a Boba Fett, a Chewie, a Leia, a Vader, and a Darth Maul.
Ooh, that's
and
awesome.
And a Jango Fett, and they're all $77, except for the Darth Maul is $150,
Good Lord.
according to Midtown Comics. Oh, they're all. If you get the 15% off, they're only $66.10.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
You
So
love Midtown Comics. I should have never shown you that.
you shouldn't, because now I can actually access all the variants, and I didn't even realize it, and it's dangerous. That's the only thing I really care about when I'm buying physical copies
And
of the
I told you
badass
guys,
variants.
the only variant I really cared to have, I got a couple of weeks ago. It was the
I
Flash
love
variant.
that one.
Yeah, the Flash of Two Worlds variant of the Flash.
I love the whole series of those Flash ones.
Ed,
The Guardians one looks really good for next week.
Ed, did you watch The Flash this week?
Oh yeah.
Did you notice that the picture that she captured of him on the phone, I want to say was the cover for the New 52 issue number 1?
You know, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I think you're right. That show just keeps getting better. I really like it. And next week, it's going to be Firestorm taking center stage here, and they are going with it being Ronnie Raymond merged with Martin Stein, so that's going to be pretty cool.
And I love that they put Jason Ross in the show, even though he's not merged with them. They still
Yeah.
throw Jason Ross. I thought that was cool. I
like
love the
that
Gorilla
they're-
Grodd.
Yes! I
Yeah.
was really worried and hoping they were going to really make him a gorilla and not some other thing.
By the way, there's a lot of talk on some of the fan sites regarding Linda Park being in the show, because Linda Park is, in the old comics continuity, Wally's wife, and she's being introduced here as a love interest for Barry. I'm glad the character's there, and they seem to have her fairly accurately portrayed, but it is sort of interesting that, you know, in a world where we're all missing Wally, that they bring Wally's wife in, but let's let her date Barry.
Hey, I'm just glad Barry's finally getting some. I'm sick of him pining over Iris.
I'm ready for him to quit pining over Iris as
Haters
well.
gonna
I'm glad
hate
to see
until
him
they
get
don't play.
Yeah, but that was fun to have that evening out with Caitlin. That was pretty cool, and they're sort of playing up a little bit of tension there as well. So it was a good show.
When
And
does
I-
she go off the rails and become a bad guy?
Yeah.
Is that what you were about to ask?
Season 2.
Yeah.
But no, what I was going to ask is about the Arrow. Is anyone upset that they didn't bring in the Lazarus Pit?
You know what?
And he just magically comes back to life.
Well, no, here's the thing. I think they left that open because I want to say in the last week's episode, they deliberately didn't say how he was brought back. They said that he brought the Chinese guy, a buddy of his, brought him to her, and she used medicine to maintain it. So they kind of made it seem like when he brought him to her, he was already fixed.
The
So,
Chinese guy, you mean Maseo?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Katana's dead husband.
Sorry, I don't
Come
have
on,
the names.
read
I don't
more,
have the names.
read more DC.
But you know,
Oh,
you
boy.
get the gist. I think down the line, as we see more of the flashbacks, we're gonna get to see where he actually drug him to the Lazarus Pit. I think they're trying not to let it all out at once. You know, they're slowly build, because they give me the idea that he's gonna be training to take on Ra's al Ghul again, so that maybe that'll build to the whole Lazarus Pit story. You know, they'll have a little background story for that towards the end of the season. That would be my bet. But I would be disappointed if they finish the season without somewhat of a nod to it, because you can't have him beat Raz. I mean, you could have him beat him, but he's not going to kill him. My guess, here's my guess, is that the way Oliver fixes everything is he has to kill Malcolm Merlyn, because that's what started all of this. They came after Malcolm Merlyn. He protected Malcolm Merlyn, so they said, okay, it's on you. And then Malcolm Merlyn had used his sister to kill the Canary, so now he's after. I think if he's forced to kill Malcolm Merlyn, then Ra's al Ghul will say, "We're all good. Just don't mess with me again."
I don't think he'll kill Merlin. I think Maceo's going to die, though, for sure. And then we're going to see the birth of the Katana.
Are there not, though, 2 canaries on this upcoming episode?
I don't know.
No, the current.
What I saw from the ads made it sound like that.
Well, the current Canary is dead, and her sister has kind of taken the mantle up, and in this past episode, it was a really her like sidekick saw her, but knew it wasn't her, and said something to the dad, because she had appeared to the dad using like a voice modifier to sound like her, because they still don't want to tell dad that she's dead. So there's 2 different people that are saying, wait, this isn't her, it's her. And so I think also by the end of the season, that's going to have to come out and really.
But I think in canon, correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, Laurel, Dina, whatever their last name is, she's the original. She is the Canary, right?
They've made it. Well, it depends on which continuity you want to have.
No, I just made this a lot longer.
Yeah. The original Black Canary was in the Golden Age of comics, part of the Justice Society. And for a while in present continuity, they had her coming back across from Earth 2 to Earth, and then they had her decided to retcon her to be her daughter, and it was the daughter of the original Black Canary. Then in the New 52, there's only ever been one Black Canary, and it's just our Black Canary. So it depends on which continuity you want to pick.
But the Black Canary that's most famously known as Black Canary is the Laurel Black Canary, right?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's in the New 52. Yeah, there's just one Black Canary. There has been just for a long time.
And
but,
Ed, just so you know, if you want to catch this, I think it's the February 25th episode of Arrow is going to be the first Adam episode where we get to see him don the suit and actually be Adam for an episode, or at least part of an episode. So
awesome, you can shrink.
Yeah, and look, I like the Atom, and he actually is going to show up in the Flash as well later this season. You can do a lot. Just imagine, though, if you could shrink down to the size of a molecule, get into somebody's brain, and suddenly expand. You could do a lot of damage right there.
I think what I would be most concerned about if I could shrink is I would save so much money. I would take I'd be able to buy a 4-ounce steak and eat that bad boy for a whole week.
You could buy the Tony Stark living room set, and
I would make the coolest life out of Legos, then shrink down and live in it.
There's so much though, because I go back to the Silver Age of comics, reading the Atom back then with Ray Palmer, and they could do a lot of things with his power though, because he could go to atomic size, and back then ride the phone lines, now ride the internet to wherever he wanted to go immediately. You could do a whole lot in terms of getting small and getting into situations that no one else could get into, and he would do things more like he wouldn't try to burst a blood vessel, but he could certainly mess with somebody's balance or hearing, and there's a lot you can do. And also when you're going, you could also control his mass even at his size, so he could still be the size of an atom but still weigh 200 pounds. And could do a whole lot of damage that way as well. So there's some things they could do if they want to with his powers. I'm anxious to see it. I'm glad to see him coming in. I've got a whole bunch of old Silver Age Atom comics I could show you sometime.
And tell me this, Ed. Felicity Smoke, if they do the Atom series like we all believe, do you think that she would be taken over to that? Is she a more with him in the comics than with the Arrow?
She's not a comic character, is
no, she's not. I don't think she's a comic character at all. I think she was just brought it for the show.
she? She is now, and they put her in Arrow.
Yeah.
Because in this last week's episode, you know, they spent so much time, you know, believing that Oliver would never cooperate or work with Malcolm Merlyn, and then at the very end of the episode, he's like, "I'm going to work with Malcolm Merlyn," and she just got so upset, and she was like, "I don't even want to see you anymore," you know.
So,
and so to me, that almost maybe furthers that divide. That maybe if we do get to see this Adams series, that they'll pull her maybe over with it because she's kind of developed a relationship or begin developing a sort of relationship with him.
Yeah, that would be unique to the show, though.
So I want to push across Marissa, my fiance Marissa's opinion. She's really sick of them trying to force Felicity and Oliver to have this love connection where they have like zero chemistry on the show.
Yeah, I am too. It was kind of neat at first, but then you know, kind of like in this past week where it was like, you
Her
know,
and Barry had all the chemistry. That was actually pretty good.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was cool. All right. Well, we are at over our hour mark for the show. So without further ado, we're going to wrap things up. So if you want to find out more on what's happening and more of our rants on what's happening with the Arrow and Flash and everything else, go to tmstash.com, find out all the latest news, have everything posted as fast as we possibly can. And please feel free to subscribe to us here on YouTube or on your favorite podcaster. We'll usually get them up the next day, or if not sooner. Try to get them up as fast as I can. But thanks so much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And everyone keep reading the Stash. Have a great night.